welcome to yet another edition of Felixstowe Matters. Now, we bring you such a vast range of subjects and people, and the person I've got for you today is someone exceptionally interesting, because one of the big features of entertainment today is balloons. And, you know, if you see balloons anywhere in a restaurant or parties or weddings, you immediately think festivity, celebration, wonderful occasion. And, of course, with helium now, it's made such a difference. And I think this is one of our features of the modern age, celebration in the modern age. And so I'm very proud to present to you Barry. It's lovely to have you with us, Barry.
Pleasure to be here.
And you're the balloon man.
I am.
That's wonderful. Now, how long have you been in Felixstowe, Barry?
Oh, about 27 years.
27 years, so you can classify yourself really as a Felixstowe man.
Yes, I can.
Nowhere quite like Felixstowe, of course.
No, lovely and quiet.
Yes, a wonderful place. I can't speak, well, it's one of my hobby horses saying how wonderful Felixstowe is. But now, what brought you to balloons? Because that's a sort of an unusual thing to go in for.
Well, it started about 7-8 years ago. I had a company, internet-based, which did balloons in a box.
This was your own company?
My own company.
Yes.
So people would place orders online, and it'd be a balloon like a get well, and they maybe want like a Tatty Teddy get well bear inside.
Oh yes.
It would be delivered by courier to a hospital, to somebody's home, and then when they opened the box, the balloon would come out with a message on it.
Oh, how fun.
And that went very well for a number of years, but then due to economical climate, people were spending their money on other things, were being more careful with what they spent.
Yes.
So we had to take the decision in the end to close the site down.
Oh dear. Well, this was nationally, of course.
It was nationally, yes.
I see. And were these helium balloons or ordinary
Yes,
balloons?
helium balloons, yes.
So when you opened the box, out came this...
Balloon, yes.
What size of box was it?
It depended whether some people would have like a one balloon,
yes,
or it could be 5 balloons.
I see. So you open the box and 5 balloons.
That's it. Of course, there'd be a weight on the bottom of the balloons, so they would come out of the box. They would just stay there.
Oh, I see. What fun! So it's a bit like Interflora, but with balloons.
Yes, some
Brilliant
Interflora
idea.
shops now do that.
Do they really?
Yes.
Do they? Isn't that interesting? So you were a man who started it. So that's a one-up for you.
I don't think I started it, but yes.
Well, you were doing
Yes.
it nationally, but then so you decided then you'd go in for general celebrations. Now, what sort of equipment did you need to start this? What have you had a background with balloons or?
No, I mean the equipment didn't change from what we were using for the website.
Yeah.
And we've been asked a lot of questions when people read up, let's see our site and ask us to do weddings as well.
I see.
So we went on the training course.
I see. Oh. This is done by the balloon company, presumably.
Yes, there's specialised balloon training courses that you can go on,
really? Yes.
which trains you how to do things.
That's interesting.
And then you then have to work out your own portfolio, what you can do.
Yes.
And it's taken off very well. At the moment, we don't advertise. It's all done by word of mouth.
That's very good.
Our businesses.
Yes. Yes. Now, before I go any further, I must tell you, viewers, that if you do want to have any celebrations or any weddings or anything at all, Barry has very kindly said that if you mention the name that you saw it on Felixstowe television, he'll give you a 10% discount. Well, that's worth having, isn't it? So that's okay with you, is
yes,
it? That's
it is,
fine.
yes,
Well, you'll be able to know how many viewers we've got. So I'm sure you're going to get a tremendous number of people saying Felixstowe television and asking for 10%.
Let's
now,
hope so.
Come to cost. I mean, let's have some example of it. For instance, let's say you're going to do a wedding. What sort of balloons would you have for a wedding?
Some people like champagne bowls. If I show you here, there's
to that camera.
a champagne bottle, and you see balloons coming out of it, which simulates the fizz that's coming out of the bottle.
What small little balloons?
Yeah, they start small and they get bigger and bigger.
Oh,
you can have them just a few foot long, or we did a party at a wedding at the Labour Club, and the string was over 30 foot long, going right across the stage.
And how big is the bottle?
The bottle is 6 foot tall.
6 foot tall?
6 foot tall by about 3 foot wide, yes.
What is the cost of that?
£65, depending on how big you want the display to be.
goodness gracious. So for that, you come along with a 6-foot-high champagne bottle,
Yes.
and out of come all these loads of...
That's right, there can
Amazing.
be,
And
there
all
can be
for
70,
£65.
80, yes.
The amount of money people spend on celebrating their weddings, that's nothing, is it? I
No,
mean,
it's not, no.
it's tremendous. What other sort of things do you do for weddings?
We do wedding arches.
Now, what is a wedding arch?
A wedding
exactly?
arch will be, it depends on how big you want it. It could be anywhere from 150 balloons upwards.
Gosh.
And if you like, you have 2 colour schemes for your wedding.
Yes.
Then these are input into the arch, and then you get a spiral colour going round the arch.
Gosh, that's pretty, isn't it?
Yes.
And these are all helium balloons?
All helium, yes.
And do you have a sort of balloon releases, or
If
people do that?
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
we haven't done that, but yes, people. Some people do like balloon releases. We can do them where they have a party and there will be a net on the ceiling,
Yes.
and then at the end you pull
what
cords
fun.
and all the balloons come out.
And of course, those ones won't be helium presumed. They'll just
Of course, yes,
they'll
they're
just
just
fall down, won't
Yes.
they? That would be a great way for a
Yes.
party or a wedding to
It is.
Yeah.
Another big thing for weddings is the exploding balloons.
exploding balloon. Tell me
Yes.
about an exploding
That's
balloon.
it's a 3-foot balloon.
3 foot.
3
That's a
foot.
big
It's
balloon.
very big, yes.
Yes.
And inside it is 100 smaller balloons.
100 small
Yes,
inside it.
with
yes.
confetti, and that
What,
is
is the confetti in the smaller ones, or it's just loose?
No, that's in
with the
inside,
100
yes.
balloons, yes.
And that gets attached above the dance floor. And
Yes.
normally, what happens is when the couple have their first dance,
Oh, I see.
we will then give the best man normally does this. We will
Yes.
give a 6-foot pole which decorated, and there's a little drawing pin on the end.
Lovely idea,
And as
yes.
they're doing the first dance, it bursts,
Oh, what
and
a
then
nice-
you get a lovely spray coming down
all
of.
the confetti all over the
Confetti
couple
and
and all
balloons,
these
yes.
little balloons. What a lovely... And I hate coming back to cost again. Sounds hideously expensive. How much is...
That's £50 for one of those.
£50? Well, that's remarkable. Well, I mean, for weddings, I think you must be so popular, it's hardly true.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of people do like them. Some places can't have them because some hotels that could be quite fussy about the mess.
They
that
don't
you will
like the
get.
confetti,
That's right,
do
yes.
they? But presumably you could have the balloons. couldn't
Oh,
you?
yes.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's remarkable, and I think it gives that little extra touch, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
To give something. Now, tell me some other things, ideas that you have for weddings.
We have wedding. We call them wedding arch, but these are what we call balloons in a balloon,
Yeah.
and they're on pillars, and they normally go above an entrance.
Oh, I see.
When
When you say
you're
a balloon
entering.
in a balloon, what do you mean by that?
A balloon is a balloon where you have, for instance, you'll have a 16-inch clear balloon. You say like just married,
Oh, I
and
see.
pretty flowers on it.
Yes.
And then whatever colour that the wedding is going to be in, you can then insert that balloon inside the balloon,
Oh, I see.
and that's what you call balloon in a balloon.
Oh, I see.
And as
Gosh.
you'll see here, there is an arch here, which we call this a pillar arch. As I say, these are normally done on entrances into weddings, so that the bride and groom that will walk through there, and then
That's a
everybody
lovely
else
idea,
will
isn't
then
it?
follow.
Yes.
And again, that is nearly 100 balloons.
Really, gosh, that's very good. And
You get a lot
cost
call
of
for
that
those.
again?
That is £80.
Gosh, that's very good, isn't it?
Mhm.
Lovely idea. It gives quite a different feel to it. But
Yes.
you were saying to me that you don't only just do weddings, but you've done a funeral.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
that sounds interesting. This was for what? A child or a...
Yes, a child that passed away, and the request came through that they would want 100 balloons to be released at the graveside.
Oh, what a nice idea, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a lovely idea. So basically, it's not just limited to weddings and birthdays.
No, I mean anniversaries. We did an anniversary in Trimley where somebody set up a marquee in their back garden.
Yes.
And they wanted an arch outside the entrance to the
Oh,
marquee,
lovely,
and
yes.
the bouquets inside.
Yes.
There's a lot of different
Lot of
variants
things.
that we
And one of your big features, of course, is that other people supply balloons, but you've got to go and collect them. But don't go down that road.
No.
You actually go and do it at their premises for them, and that's all included in your prices.
It is, yes.
That's remarkable, because I mean the value of that, to be able to pay 50 or 60 pounds for a great feature like that, I think it's wonderful. So many of us go into restaurants or for birthday parties, you see the little balloons helium balloons on the tables.
Yes.
Do you provide those as
Yes.
well? I mean, do you do those for private parties or for...
For private parties.
Yes.
Shop openings. There was a hairdresser's that opened
Yes.
last year, and they wanted balloons for their opening, and we provided those.
Yeah, that's very good. So, and what's the strangest party you've ever done balloons for?
I don't think there's not been a strange one. I mean, I've not had no unusual requests.
You haven't, oh,
no.
No.
Like I say, it's a quite range. It's birthdays,
Yes.
anniversaries,
Yes.
funerals, weddings.
Yes, well, it's a lovely idea, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, we also did the Felixstowe Carnival last year.
Yes.
We were walking around selling all balloons for the children.
Really? Gosh, that's fun. All with the helium.
That's right,
That's
yes.
lovely, because they're so much fun, aren't they?
The kids, the Hello Kitty, and
Yes.
they absolutely love them.
Yes. And tell me, what is the largest party you've done?
The largest party was a wedding.
Yes.
And that was in St Albans.
Yes.
It was quite a way away.
Yes.
That was nearly 300 balloons.
300 balloons.
300 balloons.
And what did you provide for that? What sort of party was it?
Let's say it was a wedding. It was a wedding arch. It was
Yes.
the table displays.
Yes.
They wanted floating clouds, that we call them.
Floating clouds.
Which
Tell me
are-
about floating clouds. That's
Yes.
something I've never heard of.
Well, that's a balloon in a balloon
Yes.
with another 8 balloons in attached underneath, and
Yes.
it's attached by a fishing wire.
Yes.
And you have a weight on the bottom,
Yes.
and it looks like they're floating because you can't see nothing that's supporting them.
what you mean.
It just looks like they're floating. And people at weddings, they would have 3 or 4 of those joined together at different heights.
Oh, it's a lovely idea.
So it's a lovely effect.
Yes. So it gives a tremendous effect, really, for very little effort,
Yes.
isn't it? So,
And there are so many designs that you can
Yes.
have, and shapes. It's not just there's columns of balloons.
columns of balloons. What do you mean by column of balloons?
A column of balloon is where you can have it's about 30 balloons of what colours, and if you can imagine, it's just a column at the top.
Oh, yes.
And there will be different sized balloons. It just gives a nice feature.
Oh, it's a lovely idea, isn't it?
And people again, they have it follows their theme of their wedding.
Yes, yes, that's good. And of course, children's parties must be great fun. You do special figures for the children's
Yes.
parties.
I think you've got.
Is it here? Oh, there it is.
There
Yes,
it is.
there we are. Now they look great fun, don't they?
Yes.
And how high are they? They look quite high.
Yeah, one is 5 foot.
5 foot, so that's right up
Yes,
here
it's
somewhere.
quite
isn't
big.
it?
And the
Yeah.
other one is about 2 foot.
I see. So you can have a couple of these greeting your guests
That's
as they
right,
come
yes.
in. What fun!
For like the girls, but they like the princess balloons. So
When
it's
you
not
say a
just
princess balloon, what is a
it's
princess
balloons that are printed.
balloon? Oh, I see.
So we have balloons where you can put the names on the balloons.
Oh, I see. So they can actually have their name if
You
the
can
party
do,
is
yes.
for. And so if it's a wedding one, can they have sort of their initials on it, or
Yes.
do you put those on yourself, or do you have them put on for you, or how do you
No,
go
so they would
about
have to be specially printed.
it? I see. Yes. Is that terribly expensive?
It depends on the size of the wedding and how many balloons that they
Oh, I
want.
see. Yes. Yes.
That can be quite expensive, yes.
It can be, but well, everything bespoke is
That's right,
expensive.
yes.
This is one of the troubles. Now, it's such an interesting area to be in. How do you use your helium? I mean, do you have your helium in cylinders or?
Yes, it's cylinders which we have to get from BOC
Oh, I see.
in Ipswich.
Yes.
Yes, and
Are
we
there
have.
safety restrictions on the helium cylinders?
No, there's not. No, we keep them in the garage
Yes.
because helium gas is not flammable,
Isn't it?
No,
That's
it's not.
interesting. Yes. Yes.
so
So-
it's easy
So
to store at home.
it's a safe thing,
Yes,
then,
it
really.
is.
So even if it was sort of somebody put a cigarette to it, it wouldn't
Yeah.
blow up. Well, that's a very important.
The only thing that
isn't
can
it?
be be dangerous that some people do. They will have a balloon at the top and they let the gas go in their mouth, so they talk funny.
Oh yes, I've heard people doing that.
Yes, I mean if you do that too much, that can be dangerous.
Yeah,
we advise people not to do that.
Not to do it, but a lot of people have done that, and it comes all croaky, doesn't it, and very strange.
Right. And what a lot of people do after their weddings, on the next morning, they will carry the balloons. We've done a couple of weddings like that where they carry all the balloons down to the seafront on the beach, and then they release all the balloons on the seafront and take pictures as they're floating away.
Oh, now that's interesting, because we live down on the seafront, and I've seen these balloons going by, you know, when there's a wind or something. I thought, well, who's releasing balloons on the seafront? So it's a wedding. There's been a wedding there.
That's right. Yeah.
How interesting, isn't it? I've learned something every day. Now, I hear you did a very big event at the leisure centre.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because that sounds...
It's an annual party that happens, I found out about it. And it's from East London, about 60 people. They come up to the leisure centre.
Yes.
On a bank holiday, and all their friends come and have a big party.
Yes.
And
this is in that big room up on the first floor, presumably.
No, this is on the ground floor.
On the ground floor?
Yeah, it's on the ground floor. And they wanted over 20 bouquets.
Now, tell me, what is a balloon bouquet?
A balloon bouquet, if I can show you a picture, like this. Now, that can be anywhere from 3 balloons, 4 balloons, 5 balloons. Yes, up to 7 balloons. And that will go actually on the table.
I see what you mean. It's the balloons that you see in the middle of a table.
That's right.
And how are they weighted down? What do you put at the bottom?
There's all different coloured weights. There's foil weights. There's box weights. There's all different weights for different occasions, for weddings.
Yes.
You can have double hearts for weddings.
Yes.
The boxes, or you get the foil weights.
Yes.
For parties.
Yes.
In any colour that you want.
Gosh, that's interesting.
And there's different sizes of weights depending on, of course, how many balloons that you have.
Yes.
You might need a bigger weight if there's, say, 8 or 9 balloons than
Yes.
you would if there's only 3.
Yes. Now, if a customer comes to you, they say, well, what can I have for my wedding? You don't have all these balloons blown up. How can you let them know what they can have, or what range you've got? How do you go about doing that?
Quite often when it comes, they will come to my house.
Yes.
And then I will put a slideshow on my TV for them to see all the different.
Gosh, that's good,
yes.
isn't it?
And if they can't make their mind up, we will give them a disc of all
a
the
DVD,
weddings.
that is, presumably.
Yeah, a disc of what we've done with all the pictures, and they can look at them and see what they like the look of. Yes.
I see. And presumably you're saying that you do this without any obligation if they come along.
Of course, yes. There's no obligation at all.
Well, there you are. If you've got a wedding or a big party coming up, this is the man you want. And don't forget to mention Felixstowe Television, and you get a 10% discount. So, it's a win-win situation. But it sounds wonderful, though. So I think you're opening up a big new window for people, because it's a big problem decorating weddings and parties, and sometimes people try to do it with flowers, and the moment you start onto flowers you're running into horrendous amounts of money. And I mean, I've heard of people spending, well, the weddings costing £30,000-40,000, which, I mean, it's but here's an inexpensive way of producing wonderful results.
And it has a big effect when you walk in.
It mustn't it? Because I mean, you're getting such an effect with it. And you can choose your own colours. So, for argument's sake, you can have all white balloons or all red balloons, or whatever your favourite colour.
Whatever colour you wish, we can get the balloons.
Yes, and you obviously you must hold some stock, but you get in the balloons to order, presumably.
Well, yes, I mean, we have a big stock holding. All our balloons, our supply was next day delivery.
I think that's very
so
good.
we can get balloons in a very short
And where
notice.
do these balloons? Where are they made?
Basically, they're in the UK.
Oh, so it's a UK product.
Yes, I mean there are. It depends what balloon you're using and what you're using it for. There are some that are manufactured in America, but all supplied through a British supplier.
Isn't that interesting? Because our balloons, how shall I say? I was going to say worldwide. I was referring really to China and Japan, and they really are doing so much in so many directions. And I thought you'd say, oh, they're coming in by the shipload from China.
No, and you've got to be very careful what balloons you do buy. Because, I mean, if you go to a shop uptown, for instance, and buy a pack of balloons and you blow them up, if you put helium in them, after maybe 5-6 hours, you will start to see that the balloons start to shrink.
No, really?
Yeah, so you have to use top quality balloons.
So for helium, if you're going to put helium in them, you've got to have really a balloon designed for helium.
Yes, I mean, yes, and it's with everything, you know. The better quality, the more money you pay, the better the balloon
this is right.
As I say to you, the balloons that we use,
Yes.
for instance, we will set them up at, say, depending on time, say 10 o'clock in the morning on the day of the wedding.
Yes.
And then the following morning, 10 o'clock, when the bride and groom and their friends take them down to the beach, the balloons are still the same as they were the night before.
Yes. Whereas if you used ordinary balloons just by the
Yes.
paint properly, they'd have all have shrunk.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? I've learned so much about balloons. And what is the largest balloon you've ever handled?
That would be the exploding balloon, 3 foot.
3 foot. Well, that's
Yes.
a big balloon, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, most intriguing. I can't wait to see an exploding balloon. But I presume, have you got children yourself, or
They've left home now.
left home?
Yes.
Oh, well, you look too young to have children
Yes,
left home.
but it's a family business.
Yes.
You know, my wife, my daughter, and my son-in-law.
Really?
So we're a good
So
team.
if you're a team
yes.
of you who do it, it's not just you doing it
No.
yourself. That's very good. And tell me, you were in the army.
Yes.
Did you have anything to do with balloons in the army at
No,
all?
not at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I see. Tell me a bit about your army career.
Believe it or not, I was actually a baker in the army.
A baker?
A baker in the
A
army.
man of many talents.
Yes, and I was on the task force to the Falklands.
Were you?
Yeah, took a bakery out there.
Did you really?
Yes,
Goodness, that's
on the back of
interesting.
2 4-ton lorries.
No, really?
Yes.
So you were providing the bread in that Falcon.
In the Falklands, yes, we were very lucky because we were moved off. We was actually on the Atlantic conveyor,
Yes.
and we actually got moved off to another ship.
Yes.
And about 5 hours after we got moved off, that's when the Atlantic conveyor was hit and was sunk.
Oh, goodness. So,
So
you
we
were
were-
lucky,
we were
weren't
very
you?
lucky.
Gosh. So then you've arrived at the Falklands with your 2 lorry loads.
No, actually, we lost the lorries because they were on the Atlantic conveyor.
Yeah, I
we then
see.
had to wait for more to come out.
I see. So they came out, so then you
Yes.
set up your bakery in the Falklands,
Yes.
and you were providing bread for just the army, or were you providing it for the Falkland Islanders themselves?
Just for the army.
Just for the army.
For the army, the air force.
Goodness, how many loaves a day were you producing?
Oh, we were producing probably not so much loaves. It was like rolls. We were
Yeah.
producing probably 4,000-5,000
Really?
a day. Yes.
So it's quite a big operation.
It was, yes.
And you weren't tempted to go into bakery when you came out of the army?
No, I did when I came out the army. Initially, the first job I got when the bakery opened up in by the co-op.
Oh yes, yes.
I was the bakery manager there. Yes.
So you've got experience here.
Yes.
Of doing bread. Tell me, I must ask you this question. We're going off the subject a bit, but I was always told when I was a young man, if you gave white bread to a dog, it would go mad. Is there any substance in that?
I haven't seen no, and I've had quite a few dogs.
I see. But they do put an awful lot of stuff into white bread, don't they, today?
Well, it depends. It depends. If you're making it fresh, you see, because you'll have just your plain flour.
Yes.
Yes. And what you do is you will add what they call ADD, which is additive dough developer. You know,
Yes.
and your normal yeast.
Yes.
And your salt.
Yes.
So it depends whether you buy this bread that is pre-made. Yeah, it's different to the fresh bread that is made.
Oh, I see. So basically, if you go and buy a white loaf that's just been made,
Yes.
freshly made, like at Greg's or at the bakery in town, or the co-op, I think, have fresh bread sometimes, then you're all right. But if you buy the packaged white bread,
Yes.
let me put it out, there's a slight question mark.
Because they have to extend the life, so they have to put more additives
chemical
in.
additives
Yes.
in it. But that doesn't seem to apply to brown bread so much.
No.
That's interesting. Did you make brown bread as well?
Oh, yes.
That's interesting. And were you making cakes as well, or was it just purely bread you were doing?
We did make cakes, not in the Falklands, but back as a baker. I was in a bakery in Germany.
Yes.
I took a bakery to Norway,
Yeah.
We actually used to make cat badges. We used to call it called dead dough, so it would be flour and water.
Yes.
And we would model.
Flour and water is called dead dough.
That's it, because it won't rise.
Oh, I see.
And then we used
What
to.
about if you use self-raising flour?
No, you wouldn't use self-raising.
You wouldn't. This is
No.
just ordinary flour.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And then we'd make like cat badges, and we would go to tournaments, exhibitions, and we actually had to make one, and we presented it to the Queen.
Did you?
Yes.
So you've got quite one or two achievements. You've made bread for the Queen. You've been to the Falklands.
Yes.
And anything else? It sounds exciting.
No, I mean the only most challenging part of my army career, I believe, was when I was went to Norway. I did 2 tours of Norway.
Did you? Yeah.
And you're camping out in minus 25, minus 30 in tents.
Yes.
That was very hard and difficult.
Right. And you were baking out in Norway, were you?
Yes.
Goodness, you've done some interesting things. So basically, do you have a mobile bakery then with the army, or?
The army does have mobile bakeries, yes.
Yeah, so that's how you do it. So if you're on a station, which has obviously got its own bakery, that's one thing. But were you like that, or did you?
Well, mostly we use the mobile bakeries is when you go on exercise. So if you actually go off to war, or you're actually on exercises. So, for instance, if you was in Germany, there's a big exercise.
Yes.
You've got to supply fresh bread. So what you do is you set up the bakery and you make the bread there, rather than get it shipped in.
Fascinating. Well, it's a staple food. It's what everybody eats,
yes.
isn't it? But coming back to balloons, I'm afraid I've strayed off the subject a little, but it's fascinating. I find that, what an achievement. You've supplied bread for the Queen, and you've supplied bread in the Falklands Islands. Mm-hmm. That's tremendous. But coming back to balloons, if people want to get in touch with you, we're going to put up, it won't be on this one, but for the repeats, when people look at it in the archives, we'll have up your web address.
We don't know. There is no website.
So you haven't got a website.
No.
So purely your phone number.
Yes.
And can we read out your phone number?
Yes.
It's Felixstowe 901 1462. Is that right?
No, it's not. No, the telephone number is 0845 9011 462.
Now, just repeat it again, because you've got a lot of people there looking for their pens, ready to write it down.
Okay, it's 0845 9011 462.
And so the procedure really is, how soon before a wedding can you cope? I mean, if somebody came to say, I'm getting married tomorrow and I've been let down for my festivities or something, can you help? Are you able to do something as late as that?
Yes, we are. I mean, yes, as long as we're not previously booked.
Yes.
But say we have got a team, so if necessarily, one team can go to one wedding, one team can go to another.
And of course, parties. We've got Christmas coming up.
Yes.
So do you do any special Christmas balloons?
Yes, is what everybody wants. We've got a few parties coming up where people just want the red and white Christmas balloons.
Oh, lovely. Yes. Yes. So what is the largest you've done was that one you told us about?
Yes.
And which is the smallest one you've ever done?
The smallest one was a party for a little girl, and they only wanted 10 balloons.
Gosh, may I ask how much that cost them?
10 balloons. I think that, but remember rightly, that was probably about £10.
Really? And you did that happily? So
yes. I mean, it doesn't matter what size it is,
Yes. It's
small
a
or
service.
large.
You're offering a service,
It
a
is.
balloon service. So there you are. If you've got any interest in parties, weddings, even a funeral for a child or for anybody, here's the man for you, Barry and his balloons, and it's a really good service. And of course, the most important thing of all is that if you mention Felixstowe Television, you'll get a 10% discount. Now, I'm sold on the idea straight away, and I can only recommend you to get in touch with Barry. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.